Live from the glorious beaches of the world, this is a globally acclaimed 7.2 pH transformation show. I'm Glenn B. Stewart, your health coach and lifestyle transformation trainer. The 7.2 pH transformation show focuses on revitalizing the human body. This is done with dietary changes and whole food-based supplements. These critical changes put the body back into a disease-free alkaline state. Join us. Send us your 7.2 pH questions and future show suggestions. Email us at 7.2phshow@gmail.com.
And we go into what I call the alkaline buffering deficit. Now, where we're in an alkaline buffering deficit, what do we experience? We experience the 7 stages of acidosis. We experience enervation, irritation, sensitivities, catarrh or mucus buildup, inflammation, induration, ulceration, and unfortunately, we're seeing this more and more and more. We're seeing degeneration. This is the effect of a buffering deficit. Anyone who is sick or tired has been in a buffering deficit, an alkaline buffering deficit, for months and for years. So the buffering effect is where the body starts responding to these acids. It starts neutralizing, as I gave you an example earlier, the body will actually the stomach will produce the sodium bicarbonate, pull that into the blood to neutralize metabolic acids, and you end up with hydrochloric acid in the stomach, which is a waste product of sodium bicarbonate production. Do we need hydrochloric acid in the stomach? Absolutely not. You see, the stomach is not an organ of digestion. The stomach is an organ of contribution. Its main contribution is to manage the alkaline design of the human body. It's not to digest food. In fact, you only have one instrument that digests food, and that's your teeth. If you don't liquefy the food with your teeth in your mouth, then it goes into the stomach and out into the small and large intestine partially undigested. So it's very, very important. If you don't have the energy to chew, then buy a blender, blend it. Buy a juicer, juice it. But get it into a state that the body can utilize the energy and life force of that particular food. When we're looking at the small intestine, and we realize that food has to be in a liquefied state, but on top of that, it has to be in an alkaline state. That liquid has a pH, ideally, of 8.4. So it's very, very important that we help support the alkaline design of the body and the liquid and keeping those fluids liquid by adding alkaline water. And so which is very, very strange for most health practitioners to actually recommend drinking alkaline water when you're eating. Because what we've been told is now in opposition, or actually the reverse of what we should have been told and need to understand. And that's it. That is that here again, when we drink with our meals, we neutralize the acids of the stomach as the stomach is secreting alkalinity of the food to prepare it for biological transformation in the crypts of the small intestine. It is in the crypts of the small intestine, this liquefied food at a pH at 8.4, that you've helped to support by drinking alkaline water. You can then transform this food into embryonic cells that become the erythroblast in our new blood that travels through our circulatory system to become the new body cells. It all begins in the crypts of the small intestine. This is one of the reasons why I don't recommend eating foods that do not digest. They don't break down. Well, what foods would those be? Well, that would be beef, chicken, pork, and fish. They do not completely liquefy. So if you're going to eat any of these types of foods, you need to put them in a blender and juice them. You've got to get them into a liquefied state, because if chicken goes into the small intestine partially undigested, it falls into the crypts of the small intestine, ferments, rots, and destroys the root system of your body. And then what happens then is you stop producing healthy blood. And when you stop producing healthy blood, you cannot produce healthy body cells. This is probably the most important critical point that I can mention and why I recommend drinking alkaline water. It is so critically important that we keep the fluids of our body alkaline from the mouth to the stomach and especially in the small intestine. Scientists now believe that acids or free radicals are causal factors in nearly every known disease. A free radical is an oxygen missing an electron. Actually, there's a lot of misunderstanding here. Free radicals, very simply, are acids. They're ferments. And they're acids caused by oxidation, fermentation. Oxidation or fermentation in our body is what weakens and destroys our tissues, particularly our connective tissues and our muscles, even our bones. An antioxidant is in reality an antacid, something that reduces oxidation. Anything that reduces oxidation is an alkaline buffer. Anything that's going to alkalize or neutralize these acids is only going to help maintain the alkaline design of the body. Highly ionized water has more antioxidants or electrons than a fresh glass of squeezed orange juice. And that's also true with any juice, for that matter. See, because when you test anything that's let's say wheatgrass, for example, wheatgrass will have a pH of between 6 to 6.5. So it is saturated in more hydrogen ions than what the body actually needs. So it's actually has value there in its chlorophyll, and it's very beneficial in building the blood. And we're not drinking wheatgrass to alkalize the body, we're drinking wheatgrass to build blood. But it's very critical that we add alkaline water to whatever juices that we're drinking to raise its alkalinity so it's saturated in electrons. There we help to maintain the alkaline fluids of the body. Well, orange juice has a pH of between 2.5 and 3, highly acidic, versus what we should be drinking, which is 9.5. If we look at this exponentially, we're talking about between orange juice to water, something that's 10 million times more acidic than this alkaline water that I'm talking about. So orange juice, because of its high concentration of protons, its high concentrations of acids in the forms of sugars, will actually paralyze the immune system for 3 to 5 hours. It will intoxicate it like alcohol and shut it down from its biological purposes to swim through the fluids of the body to maintain purity and cleanliness. So the antioxidant potential of any fluids can be measured using an oxidative reduction meter. That's what this is. It has a probe. And in this probe, we can then put this in water and we can turn it on and we can measure the pH of this water. And we can also measure the electrical potential of the water. Here we're seeing the electrical potential of this water is positive 76 millivolts and declining. So this water will actually pull energy from the body. The pH of the water is 5.4. Now, this is a pure, clean water, but it's not necessarily fit to drink. The kind of water that we want to be drinking is an alkaline water. Now I can run this through an ionizer and create the 9.5 water with a negative 250 millivolts. But if I don't have that water ionizer and I'm traveling, then I'm going to have to do something else. I'm going to have to put into some alkaline minerals to shift the water pH. I'm just going to take one drop here, just one drop. That's it. One drop of potassium and sodium in the form of a hydroxide and a carbonate, and we're going to see a difference. The difference now, instead of a 5.5 pH, we've gone up to, it's still climbing, a 10.25. So from 5 to 6, that's 10 times. 6 to 7, that's 100 times. From 7 to 8, that's 1,000 times. From 8 to 9, that's 10,000 times. And from 9 to 10, did I do that one? That's 100,000 times. 10.65. And from 100,000 times to 11, right? That's 1,000,000. Half of that, well, it's going up to 11. One drop, 10.74, with a charge of negative 232 millivolts. This water is now prepared to drink. It has been changed. It has been restructured. The pH has been changed from a 5.5 up to just about 11. The ORP, which stands for oxidative reduction potential. Anything that's oxidative is acid. Anything that's reduced is alkaline. We measure it in millivolts. It's negative 234 millivolts. We're talking about something that has been altered by using natural mineral salts, and so powerful, it only took one drop. You see, these things can be measured. So we take our pure water and we significantly restructure it. This is now restructured water. It is great to drink. That's the kind of water that will put energy back into the body. That's the kind of water that will bring up the reserves of your alkaline buffers if you're in an alkaline buffer deficit. So the negative reading refers to a reduction of fermentation or acids, and a positive reading suggesting an increase of oxidation or fermentation or acid. Dr. Batman said this: "You are not sick, you are thirsty." The brain is 80 to 85% water. The kidneys are 83 to 88% water. The muscles are 73 to 78% water. The blood is 90 to 93% water, and the bones are 13 to 22% water. I find this very, very interesting because at birth, when we're born, we are super hydrated. In fact, we're 90% water. And we look at the breakdown upon a brand new baby, 90% water, 8% fat. That's why they're so soft and cuddly, and so pliable, because they're hydrated. And we're not talking about acid water. They smell sweet and they look sweet because they're totally alkaline. They're literally bathing their cells in a bath of alkalinity. It's when they start going on that acid food that things start changing and they don't smell sweet anymore. But when you think about the proportions, 90% water, 8% fat, it kind of makes you wonder, how much of that baby is protein? 1% protein. The rest of it is mineral. You say, when you look at it this way, you're going, what happened from the most growth period of our time, of our existence, from birth to our first year, to where things literally change? We have now accepted as normal 70%. That's abnormal. 90% was normal. We digressed from the 90% to 70%, accept that as normal. At death, you're of course under 70. You're probably closer to 60 to 50%. Dehydration is the #1 cause of death. Because when you're not hydrated, you don't have the fluids to push out these acids that are constantly being produced. You don't have the conductivity with the sodium ions for energy to flow. You've got to be in the flow. To be in the flow, you have to be super hydrating. So it's very, very important that we're hydrating our bodies, but at the same time, when we're hydrating, we're using the proper alkaline water. So I came up with this whole new then paradigm shift from the 4 food groups. Rather than them focusing on protein, carbohydrates, and fats, I shifted to the 4 foundational food groups to maintain alkalinity of the fluids of the body and to build blood, which then builds body cells. The 4 food groups have now changed to what I call the COWS plan. The COWS plan is an acronym that stands for chlorophyll, oil, water, and salt. Chlorophyll to build the blood, oils to build the membranes of that blood, water in an alkaline, electron-rich state, and then salt, which keeps it all together. Without the salt, it acts like the glue. It holds everything together. Salt is essential, particularly sodium is essential. It's why our blood is salted with sodium. It's why the ocean is salted with sodium. It's salted because it is the foundational element of which energy is transported. It is salt that keeps us alive, in combination with oxygen and water. So we put all that in as the foundation of our house of health to help manage this teeter-totter of life between the pH balance, the biochemistry of the internal fluids of the body. So what percentage of water were you at birth? I think I already gave you the answer. 70%, 90%, 80%, 75%, or 60%? The answer is 90%. And here's another question to think about. How many liters of water per day do you estimate your body loses through urination, perspiration, defecation, and respiration? 1 liter, 8 liters, or 3 liters? The minimum amount of water that you lose on a daily basis is between 3 to 4 liters a day. Can you see how easy it is to become dehydrated? It is very, very easy. I mean, 3 to 4 liters, how much is that? It's close to a gallon a day of water. But it's the right kind of water. If you're drinking the wrong kind of water, it's hard to hydrate with that. It feels just like, a lot of water on the stomach, and it kind of slushes back and forth. This doesn't happen when you're drinking alkaline water that's wetter. It permeates the tissues. It permeates the cells. So here are some of the negative effects of acidic dehydration. Mild chronic dehydration, you'll experience these symptomologies: a headache, low energy, low mental acuity, low back pain, digestive disorders, constipation, and of course, weight issues. Acute chronic dehydration, you'll start experiencing asthma, allergies, arthritis, diabetes, hypertension, and obesity. These are all symptoms of overacidity and dehydration. The effects of chronic dehydration is like running a car on too little or no oil. It will run, but it won't run well, and eventually it will break down. Every cell has a specific function it performs through metabolism. Water is the medium of that metabolism. 1% drop in cellular hydration equals a net 10% loss of metabolic efficiency. The cell's function is then impaired. When you're dehydrated, the body prioritizes the use of then water to the vital organs. The digestive disorder or acid reflux or gastroesophageal reflux disease is nothing other than an overacidic state due to the fact that the diet and lifestyle is over acid and the stomach is not producing enough sodium bicarbonate because it doesn't have the foundational materials. Salt has been taken out of the diet. You don't do that. You take out salt, the body needs that in order to produce alkaline buffers. What you need to take out of the diet is your acidic lifestyle and foods and drinks. When you put salt in the diet, you put the right kind of water, you add the right oils and lots of green foods. This, I believe, is the diet for the future, the diet for now, the diet that's critically important because of all of the environmental pollutions, the toxic air, the toxic water, and now it's getting into our food sources. We need to protect ourselves with the right kinds of alkaline foods and waters. So how dehydration and acidosis works together. Dehydration, the body uses that to help buffer acidity, and of course that acidity then is eliminated through urination, perspiration, as these acids build up. And of course, I've given you earlier the 7 stages of acidosis. Let me just review those very quickly. The first stage of acidosis is you start losing energy, enervation. The second stage is sensitivities and irritation. Third stage is mucus buildup. Fourth stage is inflammation. Fifth stage is induration. That's the hardening of the arteries, the hardening of the tissues, the connective tissues, the muscles. Cramping. This is induration. Sclerotic plaque, cholesterol crystallization. This is all induration. The sixth level is ulceration, where acids are actually breaking down tissues, causing internal bleeding. And the last one is degeneration, which is the total breakdown of the tissue or the cell in the tissues. This is the last final stage of acidosis. We can protect ourselves by drinking the right kind of water. I would suggest to you that 70 to 80% of the world's population is dehydrated. All of us are suffering some level of acidosis within our bodies, and we're experiencing that in a symptomology. I know that tap water is convenient, but it's not the best water that we should be drinking. Yes, it has a slightly alkaline pH because of some of the chemicals that are put in there, but it has not been properly filtrated and purified from heavy metals, from fluorides, from possibly lead, from chlorine, and also from pharmaceuticals that are now showing up in our waters. So the quality of our tap water is not necessarily, even if we drink it, is going to contribute to better health. As we look at tap water, we see it that typically it's in a 20 to 24 molecule cluster. This water is very heavy, it does not absorb into the tissues, and it kind of slushes back and forth in our stomach and intestines. Through a process of ionization, which is an electrical process, using voltage or power to break these molecules apart, we break them apart in smaller molecular clusters, even down to the monomolecular state. Now, how would we know this? Well, using special meters, as we see an increase in the oxidative reduction potential up over negative 450 millivolts, we now know that we're in a monomolecular state. The microclustering effect and the negative charge is what makes alkalized ionized water different. In fact, up to 6 times more hydrating than other waters that you're going to get from a bottle or from a tap. Here's a more scientific look at molecular clustering, where you actually see the molecules of water stuck together in a cluster, and of course through a process of electricity breaking that cluster out, and then through a plate system attracting the particles or the minerals, the ions, from one side to the other, the positive minerals to one side, the negative charged minerals to another side. So we see things like sodium and chloride and potassium and bicarbonates and calcium, magnesium being taken to one side, which is the alkaline side. And we see some of the other elements being taken off to the other side. So when we have acid minerals within the water, they're separated through a plate system as the water flows over it, through polarity of those particular elements. They're attracted, the positive are attracted to the negative side, and the positive ions are collected and attracted to the positive side. And of course, you get then 2 flows of water. As the water flows over this plate, you get an acid water and you get a alkaline water. So you have 2 different sources of water, and both are valuable. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, how you can use not only the alkaline water for hydration of our bodies, but how we can use the acid water for many purposes as well. So here's your turn now. Do you currently buy your water for any reason? Only when I'm out at events, work, traveling, or restaurants? Yes, for all home use and even when I'm out. Never ever. I don't drink unknown sources of water. Occasionally, only when I'm absolutely have to. Or are you kidding? Why would I pay when I can drink tap water for free? Well, let's look at some of the costs. What do you estimate your personal cost of water consumption is per year? Well, 1 bottle of water per day at a minimum of $1 per purchase would be $360 a year. 2 5-gallon water jugs per week at approximately $8 per jug is $750. A combination of A and B would be over $1,000. And under $100 was I invested in a pH water filtration system and now only pay for the filters annually. Or the last one would be nil. I drink the free stuff that comes from the water tap. Well, in water that we're from the tap, we're getting chlorination, we're getting fluoride, we're getting radiation, we're getting pharmaceuticals and other contaminants. If contaminants are bad, wouldn't pure water be good then? Pure water that we're buying from the stores is man-made. The healthy natural minerals many times are removed, such as in distilled water. Many of these waters, I've tested them, are highly acidic. They have a large cluster size, so they carry a positive charge, thereby pulling energy from the body. And they're hard to absorb because they're all clustered together. They're not a wetter water. The 7- and 9-stage miracle ionizers that are manufactured and developed through Chanson leaves your water 99.9% contaminant free. And depending on your setting, in a very small clustering of these water molecules, 3 to 5, or in a higher setting in a monomolecular state, giving you clean, healthy, electrically charged, electron-rich ionized water. Alkaline ionizers have been in Asia for over 30 years. Asian cultures tend to be more holistic and proactive in their approach to health. In Japan, 1 out of 5 persons are drinking alkaline water. In Korea, it's 1 in 8. And in the United States, it's approximately 1 in 15,000. If we look at the World Health Organization, or WHO, and their rankings on per capita spending, Japan is number 9, U.S. is number 1. In longevity, Japan is number 1 in longevity. The U.S., of all the industrial countries, is 24. And our health systems, Japan is ranked number 10, and the U.S. is ranked number 37. When we look at alkaline water in in a crystalline state, we see it in a perfect crystal. This work was done by Dr. Emoto. So when we're looking at structured functional water, we're creating 2 waters through ionization using the Chanson water machine. We're creating a functional structured alkaline water, and we're creating a structured functional acid water too. And measuring the vibrational frequency, so we've talked about the millivolts, which is electrical potential. We're talking about its vibration. Vibrations are measured in hertz. 1 vibration is 1 hertz. Traditional tap water that's coming out of our faucets are running about 127 hertz, which would equate to a water that's 20 to 24 molecules clustered together. So it is not a wetter water. And then if we're measuring the vibrational frequency of the miracle waters, we're looking at a vibrational frequency of approximately 47 hertz, which would put it down into the 4 to 6 molecule clustering. So this water would constitute then something that would be more permeable to the cell membrane, thus a wetter water. So when we're using either of these waters, whether they're our alkaline water or our acidic water, there are functions. We've talked about some of the functions of reversing some serious health challenges by just changing the water, much like with the metaphor, if the fish is sick, you don't treat the fish, you change the water. So in this case, we're going to be using the alkaline structured functional water at a pH of at least 9.5 at negative 250 millivolts at 47 hertz, which constitutes a wetter water. We're going to be drinking that. We drink that on a daily basis. Even the water that we use for cooking purposes in our preparations, we should also use this alkaline water. On the other side of the equation, where we're getting a structured functional water at a pH of as low as a pH of 2 to 3, we still have microclustering of about 4 to 6 at a hertz at 47. But here now we've got a wetter water, but it's an acid water. It doesn't burn. It's not like traditional acid. Acids generally are thought of something that would burn the skin. This type of water will not burn the skin, but it's functional in the sense that when it comes in contact with, let's say, bacteria or yeast, it causes it to transform. It causes it to break down. So the acid water becomes a bacterial side, a fungal side, but there's no chemicals used. And it's been shown to eradicate, strep and staph and E. coli. And in traditional medical terms, to kill it instantly, or to cause its DNA to unravel or to degenerate. In other words, it's not a conducive environment for the bacteria or yeast to be in, so it breaks down. This same effect does not happen if you're, let's say, using this acid structural functional water on your skin. Because of its positive charge, and let's say we're working with a client who has poor circulation to the extremities, whether they be your hands or your feet, if you use the structural functional acid water at a pH of 3, you can soak for a half hour. That will cause the body to flow to its opposite attraction. Water being positive charged, blood being negative charged, and opposites attract. Blood will follow its electrical opposite. So it'll be attracted to the water, causing blood to flow to the extremities. It's a great way to naturally improve circulation. You can take small amounts of the acid water internally to help break down undigested matters. So if you're using the acid pH functional structured water, it will actually break down undigested animal proteins or mucus and clear that out of the body. So you can use that not only as a laxative, but you can also use it as a diuretic to help break down acid crystallization in the digestive or the alkaline buffering system, as well as the circulatory system and the lymphatic system too as well. You would just take small amounts. You wouldn't be drinking 1 liter of acid water. You'd be drinking 1 liter of alkaline water, but prior to doing that, you would be taking like 3 or 4 ounces of the acid water to help in your eliminations and to improve circulation. So you can use this as both internally as well as externally, but it's primarily the acid water is used externally. The medium-low pH use of the structured alkaline functional water is able to tighten or smooth your skin. So here you're looking at at a pH of around 5. It's effective in the treatment and prevention of acne or pimples or rashes, to actually clean the skin of acid residues that are coming out through the pores of the skin. You see, the body will push acid out through the channels of elimination. Well, the largest channel of elimination is the skin. You have 3,500 pores per square inch. Out of these pores, the body removes its own bodily metabolic waste products. These acids, coming from metabolism and diet, can actually cause then the blemishes that we refer to as rashes or pimples or acne. If we use the acid water, we can clean the skin of acid residues and protect the skin as we are alkalizing the internal fluids of the body and helping to build blood that will restore the health to the skin. We can also use it as ability to disinfect and sterilize and help in treatment of minor skin wounds as well. The medium-high pH use, which would be in the 8 to 9 range. We can use it to provide more hydroxyl ions or oxygenation to the tissues. It neutralizes acids, also referred to as free radicals. It increases the energy level of your body because you're contributing electrical potential for the mere fact that the water is an alkaline ionized state that is saturated with electrical energy or electrons. Correcting your body's acid and alkaline balance so that if you have acidic areas of the body, whether they be the stomach or the small intestine, or if it be in other areas of the body, such as in the muscle tissue, you can drink this water, and because it is wetter, it'll help permeate the tissues to neutralize the acids that are causing irritation and inflammation. Because of its monomolecular state, or its in a small clustering, it will also permeate the cell membranes, thus hydrating the cells. And we see this a lot in red blood cell evaluations where we see dehydrated or compressed red blood cells. And when you start drinking the alkaline water, the red blood cells become plump, become more flexible, they become stronger. The alkaline, medium alkaline water helps to reduce many symptoms of aging that come from dehydration and acidic lifestyles and diets, and also acts as a surfactant and a detergent. So you can use the alkaline water to clean your clothes. Or if you have, let's say, some sort of a delicate silk that you want to clean, you can use the alkaline water, soak it in, it will clean and those delicates that you don't want to put in the washer, or you don't want to chemically treat it like such as in dry cleaning. In summary, ionized water from a efficient, well thought out ionization machine manufactured by Chanson that incorporates all the principles of alkalizing and energizing the body, and at the same time, on the other side, using that acid, proton-rich water to help clean the skin or improve circulation. When these technologies are well thought out and used properly with the understanding that the human body is alkaline by design, although it's acidic by function, we can use these waters with the proper direction that will then help in the reversal of some very challenging conditions or symptomologies. We can practice prevention rather than treating disease. We can prevent many of the conditions that we're seeing today.
As we wind down our show today, I'd like to remind you to head over to www.healer2.com. That's HEALER2.com/7-2 PHSHOW. There, simply enter your primary email address and click the button. This is how we notify our 7.2 pH show listeners globally of the next 7.2 pH show broadcast or free webinar ahead of time. So if you haven't done that already, be sure to do that right now. Again, www.healer2.com. That's HEALER2.com/7-2 PHSHOW. Also, be sure to subscribe to the 7.2 pH show on YouTube by simply clicking the button on the top right-hand corner of the video. And as always, if you have any comments or suggestions on future show topics, be sure to email us at 7.2phshow@gmail.com.